welcome to America's Radio News.
Good afternoon. How are you, Mo?
Doing well, sir. Thank you very much for making time for us today. It looks like the president is staking out some ground here, asking Congress to raise taxes on families making over $250,000 a year. And the president's parting ways with high-profile Democrats like Nancy Pelosi and Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer, who, by the way, yesterday, Mr. Schumer said that even though he had advocated for that level to be at $1 million, he is actually now backing the president at the $250,000 range. What's your take on all of this, sir?
Well, again, I believe what the president said back in 2009. He said you don't raise taxes in a recession. Again, yesterday he announced he wants to raise taxes on anyone making over $250,000. In my district, in America, it still feels like a recession to millions of people. And really, ever since I've decided to run for Congress, I do not believe we should raise taxes on anyone. And it's interesting that he has changed his position from 2009.
What do you think the government needs to do to bring in more revenue?
Well, first off, what we really need to do, and again, I'm a CPA, I've been down here for 17 months, I've looked at some of these numbers. We don't have a revenue problem down here, we have a spending problem. If you look at the revenues over the last 200 years, they've grown at a reasonable pace. Expenses have skyrocketed. And we need to get our spending in line. The American people should realize that the government should not be allowed to take any more money from anyone unless they learn how to spend it properly here in Washington.
Yeah, that's a fair point, too, Congressman. Congressman Jim Renacci is a Republican who represents Ohio's 16th Congressional District. For the past 4 years, you folks up there in Congress have spent $1 trillion more than we, the American people, have given you through our tax revenues. What gives any congressman or senator or a sitting president the right to do that?
Well, we don't, and it's one of the reasons why the American people said in 2010 we want to change things down here, and I was one of the new freshman members that was sent down here because people realize that they have to live within budgets, businesses have to live within budgets, small families, the families have to, small farms, small businesses, everyone else has to do it. The federal government should have to live within their means too.
But is it that simple? Isn't all of this lost in the fact that we've got a faltering economy, we've got decisions that some were made at least before the president took office. There's other factors involved, like Congress has a role in increasing our debt. So isn't there enough blame to go around?
Well, look, I've said it all along. I don't like to talk about the past anymore. I want to talk about the future. We can blame the previous administration. This current president has done that enough already. But when I took over businesses that were in trouble, I used to sit down with everyone and say, look, the past is the past. It's time to move on. We have, here in Washington, we have American problems. They're not Republican problems. They're not Democrat problems. They're American problems, and they can be solved with American solutions, and that's what we need to start doing, is moving forward.
Congressman, the tax code as it sits right now, Democrats, Republicans, and independents all agree it's an affliction on the American people. Though no Democrat, no Republican has come out with a reformation on the tax code, which everybody agrees stinks. Why? How can we have faith in any one of the political parties if they're not willing to simplify the tax code?
Well, it's interesting. We all talk about that. I've said it time and time again, as a CPA, give me a napkin and one evening, and I think I could probably simplify this tax code. And that's what we need to start looking at. But both parties agree. You've said that. The Democrats agree we need to simplify it. The Republicans need to simplify it. We need to start working toward that. For me, after 17 months, it's frustrating. I have a number of bills out there that would help do some of those things and simplify the regulations. It's a system. We have systems down here that are broken. We need to look at the systems and we need to change them.
Now, there's a whole other issue happening as far as you and potentially other GOP members being tracked by Democrats. What's the deal with that?
Well, in my case, with redistricting, I'm running against an incumbent Democrat, Betty Sutton. She is one of the most liberal politicians in America, and she's running in my district, which is Republican district. So she doesn't have a record to run on. Her record of overregulation, tax increase, and government spending just doesn't work in my district. So when you don't have a record to run on, you have to do some of these tactics, which, It's a shame that that's the direction. I would rather us talk about issues and jobs and economy.
Hey, Congressman, we got to cut it off there. We're up against the clock here, sir. Congressman Jim Renacci, Republican in Ohio 16th.